The early hours of June 6, 1944 were cloaked in uncertainty and anticipation. Off the coast of Normandy, a massive fleet gathered under the cover of darkness, preparing to launch one of the most ambitious military operations in history, Operation Neptune. This was the moment the world had been waiting for. The Allies returned to the European continent, and the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. As dawn broke, approximately 195,000 men were poised to storm the beaches of Normandy, their mission to break through Hitler's Atlantic Wall and begin the liberation of Western Europe. The landing zones stretched across 50 miles of the Normandy coast and were divided into 5 sectors: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Each sector was assigned to a different Allied force, and all would face fierce resistance. But none would encounter the sheer brutality that awaited the men at Omaha Beach, a stretch of sand that would soon earn the grim nickname Bloody Omaha. Omaha Beach was assigned to the United States Army, with the 5th Corps leading the assault. This force included the 1st Infantry Division's 16th Regimental Combat Team, RCT, the most seasoned unit in the U.S. Army, and the 116th RCT from the 29th Infantry Division, a National Guard unit full of young men with little combat experience. Supporting them were tank battalions and engineering teams tasked with breaching the formidable German defenses. Additionally, 2 Ranger battalions were assigned the perilous mission of neutralizing the German artillery battery at Point du Hoc, a strategic point just west of Omaha Beach. Unbeknownst to the Allies, the German defenses at Omaha had been recently reinforced. The understrength 716th Infantry Division had been replaced by the battle-hardened 342nd Infantry Division, composed of veterans from the Eastern Front and fresh conscripts. These 7,800 soldiers were well positioned across 13 strongpoints, known as Widerstandnisten, which were strategically placed to protect the exits off the beach. Each strongpoint was designed to provide overlapping fields of fire, creating a deadly crossfire that would sweep the beach and devastate any advancing troops. In the early morning hours, as the Allied fleet approached the Normandy coast, the weather was far from ideal. High waves and poor visibility plagued the operation. Despite the expectation that the Allied Air Force and Navy would have softened the German defenses, the reality was grim. Poor weather conditions had caused bombers and naval artillery to miss their targets, leaving the German strongpoints largely intact. This would prove disastrous for the first wave of American soldiers who landed on Omaha Beach. As the first wave approached the beach between 6:30 and 7 a.m., they encountered chaos. The high waves forced the landing craft to disembark troops farther from shore than planned. Many soldiers, weighed down by heavy equipment, drowned in the rough seas before they could even reach the beach. Those who made it to shore found themselves exposed to a withering hail of German fire. Machine guns, mortars, and artillery zeroed in on the landing craft as soon as the ramps dropped, cutting down soldiers in seconds. The amphibious Sherman tanks, which were supposed to provide crucial fire support, fared no better. Of the 29 tanks in the first wave, only 2 managed to reach the beach. The rest sank in the rough seas, their flotation devices overwhelmed by the waves. The situation on the beach was dire. The landing craft had drifted off course, and most of the companies found themselves far from their designated landing zones. The careful plans laid out in advance were now useless. With command structures shattered and communication in disarray, the soldiers were forced to improvise. Small, ad hoc units formed on the fly, and individual soldiers began to take initiative, moving forward against the odds. At 7 a.m., the second wave of troops arrived, expecting to find some measure of safety behind the first wave's advance. Instead, they encountered the same slaughter. The strong points continued to unleash their deadly fire, and casualties mounted rapidly. By 9:08 a.m., the situation was desperate, with some units suffering 50% casualties or more. The battlefield was a scene of chaos and carnage, with the wounded and dying scattered across the sand. Despite the horrific conditions, pockets of resistance began to emerge among the American forces. One of the key moments of the battle occurred when soldiers from Easy Company of the 16th Infantry discovered a gap between 2 of the German strongpoints. This gap, left unprotected, became a lifeline. The men used it to advance up the bluffs, where they could attack the German bunkers from the side and rear, finally gaining a foothold on higher ground. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, American commanders made a bold decision. They ordered destroyers to close in on the shore, risking grounding to provide direct fire support to the beleaguered infantry. These ships moved to within 1,000 yards of the beach, their guns pounding the German defenses with relentless barrages. The combination of naval gunfire, tank support, and infantry assaults began to turn the tide. By noon, the German defenses were faltering. Many of the strong points had been neutralized, and those that remained were running low on ammunition. The Americans had managed to create 4 significant breaches in the German lines, 1 in the dog-white sector, 2 in easy red, and 1 in fox green. These breaches allowed the assault forces to push inland, securing vital exits from the beach and opening the way for reinforcements. As D-Day drew to a close, the battle for Omaha Beach was far from over. The beachhead was still not fully secured, and the threat of a German counterattack loomed large. However, the Americans had achieved their primary objective. They had established a foothold on the Normandy coast. The cost had been staggering. Estimates of American casualties at Omaha Beach ranged from 2,000 to 5,000 men killed, wounded, or missing in action. The beach was littered with the wreckage of war, destroyed landing craft, tanks, and the bodies of the fallen. In the days that followed, the situation at Omaha Beach stabilized. Allied air power effectively cut off German reinforcements, and the American forces were able to link up with their British and Canadian allies at Gold Beach, securing the beachhead. The initial D-Day objectives were finally met after 2 days of intense fighting. The foothold established on June the 6th allowed the Allies to begin the slow and arduous process of liberating France, one battle at a time. Omaha Beach was the most difficult of the D-Day landings, and the only one where the outcome was ever seriously in doubt. The success of the operation was due in large part to the determination and bravery of the individual soldiers who, despite the chaos and overwhelming odds, refused to give up. They improvised, adapted, and overcame the obstacles in their path, transforming what could have been a devastating defeat into a hard-won victory. As the world looked on, the events at Omaha Beach became emblematic of the larger struggle against tyranny. The men who fought and died there are remembered not just for their sacrifice, but for their resilience in the face of impossible odds. The lessons of Omaha Beach resonate through history, a testament to the power of courage, determination, and the will to fight for a better world.